Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Two Girls, One Pod. I am Angie, and I'm in Turrbal land, and it's a very sad news because Yvie Jones actually still hasn't got her voice. So I, once again, will be doing most of the talking.
As if. Surprise, bitches, I'm back.
Surprise attack. She back, baby.
Surprise attack.
That's it. Look, she's got a beautiful voice back.
It's a little bit crackly.
She was coughing up
back,
some
baby.
phlegmy babies before.
Still am.
She's still a little bit sick. How are you feeling, sweet angel?
I'm getting there. I am getting there. It is one of those, everyone has told me that it's had the same thing. Oh, but the cough lasts forever, which it is.
A lingering
It
tickle.
is. But I'm taking the chesty cough syrup by Dura, whoever they are, and it is breaking it. So I'm not doing it at night because I can't sleep, but it makes you cough more because it's breaking it up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm good with that. I'll cough more if this will end it quickly.
Yes.
Quickly.
Well, you look great.
And, thank you. You know, makeup is an amazing thing, as you know, and so is fake tan.
You're glowing.
So shout out to all of the beauty makers in the world that help us feel a little bit better when we're not, look a bit better when we're not. Anyway, but you know when you're sick and then you get better, like you've just been sick recently, and you know afterwards when you get that, and then you overdo it because you're like, I'm better.
Yes.
I can go out.
Yes.
I'm going to the park and I'm going to do myself a walk.
That's my
I'm going to walk around.
guilty as charged with that one. Oh, God.
Yeah, we all do it because you're so excited to feel good
Yes.
again, and then you overdo it. But I'm not overdoing it. I'm just really damn excited to feel like a human again, like living.
I know, you always say.
You really do take it for granted.
You do.
Don't
You always say to yourself when you get really sick, like, I'm never going to let myself get this sick again, even though sometimes you can't help it. And I'm never going to take being healthy for granted. And every time you do. Because humans, you know what? We release a chemical where we forget everything and we do the same stupid things like have babies after babies again and again.
Yep. Drinks after drinks when we said we wouldn't.
That's the worst.
Get in a bus with people who are coughing and you haven't masked up. We just keep doing these things thinking, what's the worst that could happen?
It's all for the plot. It's all for the little silly story. That is our life.
Yeah, and that's humans. Imagine if we were held accountable every time we said, I'm never going to drink again. And then this block came and stood around us and went, you said it.
Or like you had to like give $100. Oh, God. Whoever's doing that to me would be a bloody millionaire.
Like a swear jar.
Yeah, every time you did the thing you said you're not going to do. Oh, gosh. But then you get it later on in life. I'd be like, it's just fucking shit, yeah.
That would be nice. That'd just be a nice saving scheme.
Yeah, I'd be swearing and drinking and
this
sick.
and fucking that and fucking this and fucking that. I think we just came up with an idea for something. It's called savings. Ever heard of it? Banks should do it sometime. Can make interest. At any rate, how have you been? How's the week? How's your new tenants?
Oh, you know what? Everything's been good. I just got back a few days ago from Sydney. Obviously, I went to Sydney for our friend Tom's life celebration. So that was just...
And how was that? Tell the listeners.
Divine. I mean, look, I was hoping afterwards it would provide more closure, but if anything, it made it feel more real because to have such a celebration of someone's life that you knew so well, you knew them so well that other people didn't even know what they were saying because they spoke sometimes in their own, little language. To see his art everywhere and big photos of him and in the, as soon as you walked in, Backstreet Boys was on. It wasn't a funeral where it was sad music. Christina was on, Spice Girls was on, Backstreet Boys was on, pictures of Tom Kylie, of course, his main queen. Big Tigers. He was a big Tigers supporter. So orange. People were wearing Tiger jerseys, and he had Diet Coke boxes everywhere because he loved Diet Coke.
Loved his Diet. You could give it to him for a gift for Christmas.
Yeah, you could wrap a big thing of carton of Coke.
Remember that he would get a carton of DC.
Yeah, and he would lose his mind over it. He loved it sick. So it was a real tribute, and everybody just got up and spoke. So it wasn't like a really sad ceremony. Lenka, his sister-in-law, who's a singer, sang at the end with a ukulele, and then they did a shot, but instead of alcohol, it was Diet Coke. Oh, it was just divine. And then afterwards, a lot of his friends who have Down syndrome or on the spectrum got up and did speeches. And, you know, once one of the friends gets up, they all want to get up and it's a big, long sob story. It was just divine. But there was a lot of screaming and tantrums as well because, you know, regulating your emotions in a situation like that. And Tom played such a huge role in these people's lives that it was a lot. It was a very big
loss for them, isn't it?
Huge loss. It was a big day. A lot of people that I hadn't seen in ages that were a huge part of my life for 10 years, you know, all Tom's mum's friends and old friends of Tom's that we would go to dinner with, like Tim and Des, family friends. So it was a big day. It was a long, long day.
Huge day.
And just to hug everyone, you know, and see his mum. But it was nice. I left early the next day and I was just so emotionally exhausted. Yeah, I couldn't sleep. I had the worst sleep paralysis while I was there. I think I was just so anxious because it felt so final, you know. A funeral is quite final. So there was that. But besides that, I'm back on the mountain. And then, I forgot to tell you, I'm coming to Melbourne. Surprise.
I know. I saw something about Melbourne because you're giving away tickets or selling tickets or something. And I said to you, you're coming to Melbourne and ignored me.
Oh, well.
Ignoramus, I would call you now.
I've had a bit on, darling. I've had a bit on this mind.
Well, you always reply to me, but that was one you didn't.
I don't know why. I don't remember seeing that. It was quite a last minute.
It would have gotten lost.
Yeah.
It would have gotten lost.
We did text
in
a lot.
Me asking a million things.
Yeah,
we do.
We text a lot, and recently too, since Tom's passing and you being sick and then you being away. But you were away for a little while.
Yeah, I went to the Northern Territory, the top end, they call it up there. C-U-N-T. See you in the NT, I should say.
I like that. Stop it. Did you make that
That's
up?
their logo. That's their brand. It's on their shirts and everything. It's hilarious because they do the C, the U, and the N and the T big, and then they put
that's so Darwin
in between.
I love it. So Aussie.
So Aussie. And you know, it was really funny. The story that I've told you, I'll tell again. Like, it was a great holiday. It was really jam packed, and it was a campaign for my social media.
Yes.
And it really, you know, it's so funny because when I do certain things, not certain things actually, when I do everything in my life, there's always a little Angie on my shoulder or just sitting behind me or sitting beside me, or I look over and I visualize you there looking at me the way we used to when something really funny happens or bad happens. When we were in the jungle, Angie and I would, because we were slept really far apart from each other because she smells so bad. But every now and then something would happen and we just look at each other and we could talk to each other, completely talk to each other in our eyes. Yeah. And because we just know exactly what the other one's thinking.
It's always just like...
And it was so funny because you and I can look at each other through this. Like, even though this is a podcast, you know, for your ears, we do have video as well. So we get to watch each other and we can see if one of us is kind of...
What's going on?
So the tour director said on the first day, do you want to tell everyone on the tour who you are, what you're doing? And I went, nope. I said, I'd really just like to experience it how everyone experiences it. And they won't know who, like, I was the youngest one in there. They're not going to know who I am anyway. So it was fine. And then second last day, I got really ill. And then I had to send... This is just very, very quietly behind the scenes. I had to send my friend Todd just up the trail to take some photos for me. I was like, I really need to get footage for my socials.
Yeah.
So he did, and everyone was kind of like, "Why? What are you doing?" And then Christine, the tour director, goes, "Oh, Yvie, you should tell them, 'cause she's German. You should tell them who you are. Everyone, do you know Google? Do you know Google? Do you know Google Box?" And they're all just looking at her, and I went, "Google Box."
Oh gosh.
And they all went, "Oh," like they all did that collective, "Oh," and then you had every now and then one of them's going, "I knew you looked familiar."
Yeah, that's when it pops
or,
in.
you know, who?
Yeah.
Like one of them's looking at the other going, but everyone knows Gogglebox because it is, you know, it's massive in this country. And so they did mostly then get it. And then they were like, "Are you doing a show?" And I went, no, I'm doing a social media campaign. And I've been kindly invited by AAT Kings to do this with you guys and experience a holiday to tell my followers who are mostly my age how important it is to visit your own backyard and all the money that you have that could kind of see so much more in Europe for the same price, how important it is to see the stuff in Australia, because even though it may not be as much, it's something you'll never see anywhere else. As you all have been experiencing, they're all nodding along. Anyway, I just, afterwards, I'm like, straight away gone, what was that? And then in my ear, I just hear you go, it wasn't really required of you to make a speech.
It wasn't really required of you to make a speech.
It was your voice. It was you doing the character from Mean Girls, saying to Katie, well, it wasn't, because he says it really seriously.
Yeah,
it wasn't really required of you to make a speech. And then he
really
smiles because he's on stage.
She's just throwing out the crown. If you don't remember, it's when she gets prom queen.
Yes.
She rips off the crown and she throws it out. So whenever somebody does something for so long, I always say to Yvie, I look at her and I go, oh, it wasn't really required of you to make a speech. And she loves it.
In the jungle a few times.
Oh, there was always...
I think, if someone got up and told a story, like, well, it wasn't really required
of you to make a speech. And you did it to your own self.
And I'm standing there laughing, and I've looked at my friend Todd, and I was like,
I love he knew.
You know what I just thought of? I go, do you know Mean Girls? And he goes, yeah. I went, it wasn't really required for you to make a speech. And he just does this, like, those men snorty, like, and I know when it's real for him because he's in comedy, and your people laugh and your real laugh.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's funny. Or you're snorty, it just kind of, he did one of those. He got it straight away. So I was like,
I love that he knew that. Like, not many people know Mean Girls, but not many people know that part because there's so many other huge parts in that movie. So that really required you to make a speech. And the fact that you pulled yourself up on the speech, because it's like you feel like you have to perform when you've been in the industry and on TV for so long. It's just kind of in you that you think people expect it, but then you kind of watch yourself. Your higher self watches you just being like, sit the
what are you
down.
Yes,
especially for you, it's like you're on a holiday, doll. Have a break. You don't need to do a speech for these people. You're never going to see again.
Have you been silent for 4 days, doll? Do you need to tell everyone who you are now? Do you? Is that what's happening here? Is your ego come out to go? No one's praising me enough. And you know exactly why I didn't say anything happened. So the last 2 dinners were filled with
questions.
The bogan couple, like, and blah blah. And did you? And can I get a photo? And it's like exactly what I thought was going to happen. And
too much.
It's why I didn't do it. Yeah. Well, and I didn't want to be treated differently either. I mean, I love to be treated differently, and I eventually got treated like the queen that I am. Please,
how you deserve.
But it was very funny how often I get you in my head now going.
That's so funny.
Just saying things like that. It's always things like that. I'm like, this is when I need you across the room to just make eye contact with. And the best part of that story is John, who's married to Maxine. Maxine's going to be my friend forever. Love her to death. She was recovering from breast cancer on this trip, and she's incredible. Her husband, John, who absolutely adored, second husband, he comes up to me later. He's got a bit emotional. He goes, kind of like, mate, that speech.
The one that wasn't really required. It was beautiful.
Yes, that was a real beautiful speech.
Oh, what a good man.
Couldn't agree more. We need to see our backyard and we all need to understand that.
I love that you did a speech. I wish the speech was recorded. I really do. That's something
do I.
That I would have just planned my absolute whole year ahead. The NT speech that wasn't required.
Absolutely.
Oh, I love it.
There was one bad egg on the entire tour, and of course it was a straight white man, old grey hair, and I lost it by the end. When I was in real pain and I was trying to get to my room at the last resort we were at, he's gone, because he's already pissed me off. He's pissed me off many times. He speaks to his wife badly. I've held my tongue. And then he goes to me, because I grabbed my key, and I went, because the directions were, everybody please get your keys, then head straight to the restaurant, make a booking for dinner tonight, and then go to your room. No, go to the bus, pick up your bags, go to your room. So Easy, right? Easy, right?
Yeah.
He goes, where are you sneaking off to when I got my key? And I went, what? Because I'm already, I don't like
I
you.
could picture the what. What?
Yeah.
What?
And he goes,
do you
where are
want from
you
me?
sneaking off to? And he knew because I was getting to the restaurant first to make a booking for when I wanted dinner. And he was really champing to get his key so he could get to the restaurant. He goes, where are you going? And then other people started to go as well. And he goes, where are you all going? I went, what do you mean? He goes,
Yeah.
you take directions. Like you've got to wait for the next, And I went, oh my God, you just keep telling people what to do and keep getting it wrong. And just walked off. I just walked off.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
And Todd goes, tell me what you said to him again. You made me tell him twice. He loved it. But you know what? Afterwards, I'm coming back down from my room because I've followed all the directions and I saw him and his group and I think his wife or his best friend's wife, because there was a group of 5, and he's going to her. See, you don't listen, do you? And she goes, well, it's all so much. And he goes, no, say it. Say you don't listen. She goes, I don't listen.
That is so true. That is so triggering. It's like something that like a dad would do to their kid. Say it. Go on, say it. That would have been super triggering.
What did I say to you? I said you're a bad... Yeah, it would be for me. And I was just really glad I was away. But they were so loud that I could hear them. I could see them and see them. They didn't know I was watching. But I think we had about 37 people and that was one bad egg. It's just pretty good. It was like half men and half women. And they're all absolutely adorable older retirees who are just so sweet and really into the top end. And it got me excited. Like, you realise how spoilt you are in the world that you've seen at our age. A lot of them haven't travelled or if they have, it's been that grey nomad, around Australia. So they see, I could see it through their eyes. I was like, this is beautiful. I mean, it is. It's stunning. This country is stunning. So go and see it. You would love it, Angie Bernice. You would be in touch with Angela Bernice. Sorry, God, I got your name wrong.
God, that's
You
awkward.
would be really in touch with the earth up there. I know that sounds maybe appropriating, but
actually eat it up. Put it in my mouth.
It's a feeling. Yeah, there's an energy up there of the First Nations people that is so strong, and you just you want to hear and see everything and know more, and you just get this overwhelming respect for the vastness of it through the energy that you're feeling. I kept grounding myself. Oh, yeah, is it grounding yourself? Yeah. I kept saying to Todd, taking my shoes off, grounding myself whenever I could.
Look at you go, just one with the nature.
I highly recommend you go and see it. And everyone that's listening, it's on my socials. Get yourself my promo code and book yourself a lovely trip with AAT Kings. They will take care of you.
Oh, you snuck that in there, didn't you?
Probably shouldn't have done that, but whatever.
You shit.
Very exciting. We've got Megan Pustetto. Ever heard of her? Ever heard of a little podcast called So Dramatic?
Imagine if you hadn't. Oh, my gosh, where have you been your entire life?
Tell us a bit about her.
So, as you just mentioned, Megan is the host of the podcast So Dramatic, also on our Nova Entertainment Podcast Network /fam. She launched the podcast in 2020, which was just after my season of The Bachelorette. Thank God! I often thought about that, Just 3 weeks after launching, So Dramatic reached #1 on the Australian podcast charts. That's pretty much where I go to get the majority of my Australian entertainment reality TV gossip.
Me too. And you know what? She's been a journalist for over 10 years. She also runs So Dramatic Online. It's an online news website and it delivers daily content to her loyal listeners who we must say we are two of. We
oh my God,
absolutely adore Megan and we're so excited to have her on.
And we're going to talk to her now. Welcome, Megan.
The first question we have for you, Megan, is just a normal question that we ask most of our guests is, do you do anal?
Just kidding. Just want to break the ice.
Oh, just kidding.
I thought this wasn't going to be a hard-hitting interview.
Imagine if we did that to you, you poor thing.
Straight to the personal question.
Well, you're so used to always
that was a normal,
doing this to other people. Not the anal thing, but like asking
I
questions.
was going to say you're so
people...
used to doing anal.
So we thought we'd ask because we know you're an avid anal lover. Just kidding. That was to break the ice. So yeah, soz about that.
Welcome.
I am a little bit nervous, so thank you.
Don't be nervous.
This is what we're like. So
it's just us.
glad to have you.
I don't always get interviewed. I'm always in the other chair, so
That's right.
That's
why it's so exciting.
That's what Yvie and I were saying. It's like you're always interviewing, and now we get to interview you.
And you know what? This morning in the dog park, I was telling a woman that we have having you on today, and she was like, Who, Meg? Yeah, I've heard of her. I went, so dramatic. She goes, yeah. And I said, well, we're going to ask her questions because, she's normally the one that asks them. I gave her 2 questions. She goes, I want to know the answers to those. I went, perfect. This is going to be a great episode then.
I can't wait. I don't really do a lot of interviews, so I'll give you guys all the tea.
Oh my God, yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm so excited.
I love it when you say that because you're the voice that says, here's the tea.
It feels
and let's get
surreal.
into
What
it.
I'm allowed to, what I can give you.
Yeah.
You know your legal obligations and requirements or restrictions or whatever is that. So you just tell us what you can.
Sounds good.
All right, I'm going to ask my first question. Have you ever had to do something you didn't want to do to get a story?
You know what? No, because I'm very stubborn and I'm very headstrong and I wouldn't ever do anything I didn't want to do. But I think when I've worked at other media outlets I have, only because it's come from the higher uppers, powers that be, that have told me to do things like I know that when I was working at certain publications that we shall not name, they would say things like, it'd be very confronting because it is a cutthroat role where you do have to ask people hard questions. And they would say things like, you're going to this event, this person's going to be there, they've just had a scandal or someone's died or they've had a breakup, you need to ask them about that. And it's like, I don't want to ask them. Like, say it was someone straight off a breakup, they wanted you to go up to them and be like, so what happened with the breakup? Why did you break up? And just like very intrusive questions like when it's still very fresh. And I'm like, I'm just not that sort of person. Like, I don't know, a lot of the stuff. Yeah, the info comes to me a lot of the time. I'm not very one of those people that's going to like put people on the spot and ask them questions that I know that they're going to feel uncomfortable being asked. So at outlets, yeah, I think before, but these days, not really. I've also had like editors tell me before, this is pretty juicy tea, at a certain magazine that I worked at, one of the editors, a male, was like, can you please go down to the courthouse and you need to get this information from us, like just give them a smile and make sure you wear a low-cut top and basically just put the flirt on and get them to give you the info like from the people working in the court. And I was like, absolutely fucking not.
Oh my God. That must make you feel so uncomfortable.
It did. Like, it was very uncomfortable. Like, it basically made me feel like I was just, my boobs. He was like, go show off your boobs, wear a low-cut top, get them to give you the info and, like, set me directly to do that because he's like, there's heaps of males down there. And I'm like, yuck, gross.
Oh.
So I have encountered a lot of that type of stuff working, but that's why I love working for myself now.
Yeah. And that means if they've asked you to do something like that, they've been asking people to do that since forever. And they're still asking women to do that kind of thing. It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
And that's why I think a lot of male entertainment journalists are mainly male. And I think that's why, because it is a very sexist, cutthroat industry. And when there is a female in the position, they just kind of think, okay, well, let's use your beauty, let's use your looks and work it in that way. Like, say there was someone who had just cheated on their wife. I'm thinking of one example. For example, there was a TV star who just cheated on their wife and they were going through all this stuff and they were like, oh, let's send you to like cross paths with them and you can flirt with them and like try to get a story out of it that way. And I was like, what the actual Yes.
That's entertainment biz.
Yeah, like they would literally send female journalists to do that, to get info that way or to like either get them caught dating them. And
it says a lot about men, doesn't it, that they think that would actually work, and it generally does work.
Yeah,
Probably
on
would
other
have.
men.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right.
So
Oh,
yeah,
my
I got out of
goodness.
that place pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
Just what's your past? Like, you've been a journalist for about 10 years and you've got So Dramatic, but you don't have to name the other publications, but how did you even get into journalism?
So I actually started working in fashion. So I did my uni degree and then I started working in fashion as a fashion writer. So I'd go to all the fashion shows. It was like a fashion blog that was very big at the time. It was amazing, like front row at all the shows, all the parties. It was so good. And then I moved into entertainment at Daily Mail. Then I went into radio and then I did magazines. So I've done everything really. And at the time I was like, oh my God, you know how you have to just like stay in the one lane and just do really good at it? I was like jittering around and doing all sorts of things. And then it's kind of paid off though, because with the podcast you need all of this. So it's paid off.
It certainly has. So, has there been any goss you've wanted to tell so badly, but you couldn't because it could potentially ruin someone? So, you have to kind of like toss up between like your need to tell the gossip because it's your job, but like almost like your integrity. Like, oh, should I do that? Because I could like really cancel somebody.
Yes, there has been so many times, but in the same
so.
in the same vein, I'm like, if there's a good relationship there, you kind of don't want to burn the bridge. Like you've got to be selective and weigh up like if it's worth it in the long run for you. And also like you don't want to throw people under the bus unnecessarily, but I mean some of them deserve it. So some of them I'm like I would love to run this because it would ruin your life.
Yeah.
Especially if they deserve it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, what about Angie and I? Have you ever heard anything about either of us that you haven't reported on?
I bet you she has.
Be truthful.
You can say yes and not say it.
I heard some stuff about you, Angie, when you were filming The Bachelorette.
But you weren't doing the podcast.
Confirm or
We
deny?
just were saying that you started after Angie's season.
I was like,
so
thank
how
God.
lucky was
You
she?
got to do BIP though.
I know. I think I started immediately after that. Bachelor in Paradise was the first one that we did.
Yeah,
But before that, I was just doing paparazzi stuff. So I was working with Paps and talent directly, and it was pretty interesting. But no, I think at the time I was working. I wasn't at the mags. I was working around the mags. So I was hearing stuff from different people. They said that you were a diva on set of The Bachelorette.
A diva? Really?
I remember
A
there was an
diva.
article about that,
No
and I sent it to
way.
you, Ange.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
where I got it from.
That's so
Yeah,
interesting.
probably.
I do remember that
It was an
because
on-set source, I remember.
It's always
yeah,
an
that would have
onset
been one of the
sauce.
boys. It would have been one of the boys for sure because I would kick off all the time when they were like doing boys club. I'd be like, if you want to all hang out, why don't you go to Ibiza and have a boys trip? And they'd all be like,
Paradise.
and then production told me,
I would have been
"You can't-"
kicking off with that bunch too.
Yeah, they were like, you can't kick off all the time at the boys. And I was like, well, they shouldn't be here if they all want to whack each other off so much. That's the only diva thing I can
They
think
were
of.
so chummy.
Yeah, they were like the bestest of friends. But I wonder
Well.
what else they meant. Oh, gosh, no, I'd wanted to walk around with no shoes on. Maybe that's the diva thing. I can't think of anything. But interesting. Okay, I like that one. That's not too bad.
I also heard that Yvie had a threesome on set of The Bachelorette with two of the contestants.
No, you did not.
Is that true? Confirm or deny?
I can confirm that's
Did you actually?
Very true. It was with Angie and Osher, and it wasn't two of the guys. We just did get it a little bit wrong, but
a
let's
little bit
confirm
off.
it here right now. Angie, Osher, and I threesome. I mean, if sitting down in a bed and watching Bachelor in Paradise is our threesome, then we're guilty.
We're guilty as charged.
I'm just joking. For the record, I'm just joking.
Oh, my God.
Or are we?
You say it really well. I actually thought that you heard that. I was like, wait, what? That's so weird.
I've got a good poker face.
You do have a good poker
my
face.
God.
That made me a bit nervous, actually.
So I've got one more question. Psych, we don't. We have heaps of questions, but guess what? We're going to leave you hanging right now
We
because this interview is so long and so great that we're going to give you the rest of it next week. So thank you for listening this week. Sorry to leave you on a cliffhanger, but we've always wanted to do that, haven't we?
I know. We never have anything juicy enough to report that. Now we get to do it. We're getting to live out our dream of the part two.
Yeah.
we get to do a
You
Megan.
do not want to miss next week's episode because there is so much more coming from Megan that you're going to love. And you're going to get to know this woman behind the microphone that normally is only talking about other people. So if you liked this episode, make sure you listen next week. But also subscribe to us. Please review us. Give us a rating. Always 5 stars only, as Megan Pustetto would say. And the last thing we want to say is...
Have the day that you deserve. Yeah.
Yes. Bye.